Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third webinar, our four-part Webinar Wednesday series. Today, Greg C. Hoy and Mario Sorrentino will explore standard and specialty applications. We'll look at basic cutting principles, sanitary design and safety features, and much more. If you have any questions, we invite you to click the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll answer your questions at the end of the session. So Greg and Mario, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Anna. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. Today, we'll be talking about full block cheese reduction and more specifically applications of using our FS40 shredder, the Deville FS40 full block cheese shredder. My name is Gregory C. Hoy. I'm the key account manager here at Deville. And with that title, of course, comes the responsibility of working with our large scale clients on large scale projects, including some of our integrated solutions. I'm joined today by Mario Sorrentino, who's in our Wisconsin client center. He's our cheese market manager in the Midwest territory. And we'll be walking through this FS40. I'll start with a theoretical overview, if you will, of different applications and the way the machine works. And then I'll hand it over to Mario, who will do a live walkthrough of the machine. He's got some great demo equipment ready to demonstrate right in front of live in front of everybody here. And then we'll finish off the session with a couple of demos. We pre-recorded some videos of the machine running some cheese, so you'll be able to see how the machine actually functions and some of the product quality that comes off of that. Let me start by introducing Deville a little bit. Deville Technologies is highly regarded. We're a company we're highly regarded in our industry segments for our focus on food safety and R&D product innovations. And that results in our ability to take on a problem-solving approach to application-based food processing systems. This approach is based on 40 years of sanitary design experience through consultative engineering. We have a partnership with FAM, based in Belgium, that allows us to incorporate their leading food cutting machines into our integrated systems. But Deville also has our own proprietary FS40 full block shredder, which we'll be exploring today. The flexibility benefits, this flexibility benefits our customers as we can help them to define optimal system requirements to meet system application challenges. Fundamentally, Deville is an equipment manufacturer, but rather than simply selling machines as a product, our goal is to use our equipment portfolio as tools towards solving these challenges by building customized engineered solutions. So what do I mean by customized engineered solutions? Here are a couple of examples of how we might be able to apply the FS40 shredder to a full line. Here we see the FS40 as a retail shred line. This arrangement is actually used as well for food service shred lines where you have bigger bulk packages of shredded cheese. So the benefits of this kind of line is that you'll have an optimal setup for the line, all low to the ground, no overhead mezzanines that could pose a food safety challenge. The other nice thing about this FS40 is that it's basically a 2-in-1 machine that does block reduction, full blocks from standard 40-pound or even 60-pound blocks of blended cheeses, different cheese formats, up to 60 pounds. But it is designed specifically for a 40-pound standard single block, as well as other special applications. So what that means is that it doesn't need a pre-cuber and does both the cubing or the initial pre-reduction as well as the shredding simultaneously. So you have 3 less machines to have to deal with on your line. All of it is automated together on the FS40 that will take care of the functionality and communication with the entire line, all the way up to the vibratory conveyor that feeds the multi-head scale. As you can see, this kind of line layout is compact, and because all the equipment is designed to work together, you have an ultra hygienic line that maximizes cheese containment. So there's less cheese loss and less housekeeping to do with because there's less cheese all over the floor that you may see in some plants that are not optimally designed. A few other examples Here's an FS40 low to the ground with an extended infeed conveyor that allows the operators to pre-stage many blocks of cheese so that they're not constantly unwrapping cheese blocks and putting them on the conveyor. They can actually have one operator preload the cheese, and as the automatic machine cycles through, that operator can be doing some other functions. So it adds to efficiency of operations. We have other applications too, like this one, with a double line FS40 to allow blends. You can put blocks on one side, trim on the other side, or different types of blocks. Let's say a provolone and a cheddar on one side, or a mozzarella and cheddar, or a fontina and mozzarella blend. Or you can do several blends by putting different blocks on each of the different conveyors. And having the automated line allows the single control system to pre-establish the weight ratios as recipe settings that are stored in the FS40 control system. So you can do multi-block, high capacity lines with this double line blending arrangement. Another special application is the FS40 combined with a fan centrist machine or some other type of centrifugal shredder. This allows blending of properly ratioed blocks to trim smaller pieces, all going up the main line and to packaging. Some of the special applications that we work on, or some of the cheese applications that this FS40 is well suited for, include standard shred. Here we see some angel hair, or we could have these standard oval or crescent cut shreds. And you can also do specialty cuts like flakes and grape. And I'll get into that a little bit further on. We'll see the different profiles that the FS40 is able to handle. Now, it is originally designed for cheese, but the FS40 also has some great applications for specialty products, such as butter or shortening. Some plants will use the FS40 for this type of applications when they're trying to reduce full blocks of frozen bulk blocks of butter or shortening. What this helps them to do is to eliminate the thawing time. Traditionally, when operators or manufacturers are using 50 or 40-pound blocks of butter, they need to put it in a refrigerated thawing zone prior to its use in either a cooking kettle or some other type of process. So what the FS40 allows them to do is apply this butter reduction on a just-in-time basis, as the shredder will be able to handle a frozen block of butter for two benefits. One, they don't have to thaw, and they save thawing space or real estate for thawing, as well as they maximize efficiency by exposing surface area on that shredded butter. And that allows them allows the butter to melt more quickly, lowering that cooking time needed on that kettle operation. Another good use of the FS40 would be on more difficult cheeses, such as analog cheese or vegan cheeses that tend to be softer or mushier. Traditional shredders on this type of application tend to smear, and the FS40 is designed to prevent that kind of smearing due to the two independent parameters of the FS40, that being the disc speed and the piston pressure, operating as separate parameters. So you basically have a precise machining of the block that you're trying to reduce using the FS40. Now, how does that work? So let's go into the nitty-gritty details of how the machine actually accomplishes the standard shreds that I showed earlier on cheese, as well as these special applications. There are two types of FS40s. The automatic version that has the in-feed conveyor, and what this configuration allows is for an operator to just simply place the blocks on the conveyor and the machine takes care of the rest. The second configuration is the manual machine, where the operator needs to open the door, manually insert the block into the cutting chamber, close the door, lock it, and press start to run each cycle as a single cycle, each individually. Comparatively, the automatic machine will just keep running so long as there is cheese being placed on this conveyor. So it's a much higher capacity, non-stop continuous operation. The cutting principle of both types of machines is very simple. You have a cutting chamber in which the cheese block can be placed, and A piston from behind will press the cheese into the spinning cutting wheel, which would be located here. In this picture, in this photograph, you can see that we've inserted some pre-cut knives, which on retail or food service, consumer use cheeses, will help to minimize the shred length and to give a much better look to the final end cut cheese. On some food service or some prepared foods applications, pre-cut knives would not be needed since that cheese would be used immediately downstream in some kind of a cooking process, or could be used in some kind of cooking process. So the actual shred look, the aesthetics, are less important in those instances. So that's basically it. You have your two parameters. Your disc speed is spinning at an independent RPM from the piston pressure, which is driving the cheese into the cutting zone. So as I alluded to earlier, the FS40 is able to do a variety of profiles, cut profiles. These are the standard profiles, a full crescent or a reduced crescent, or a full V shred or reduced V shred. We can also customize the disc profiles to come up with some special cuts. So some of the ones that we've worked on in the past include flake and ribbon, crumble, so large crumble like feta cheese or certain goat cheeses will require more of a crumbled look. Blue cheese tends to be crumbled as well. Or we could do hard grate on Parmesan or Romano, or those types of hard cheeses. Now, we're not limited to just these profiles. As I mentioned, we can customize the discs. One of the benefits of working with Deville is that we are able to do custom engineered solutions. So that includes a product innovation. Let's say you have a specialty product that you want to cut that nobody has done before. We are able to work with you to develop a shredding disc that will accommodate the new profiles that are being innovated. So some of the main features of the manual machine: you need to manually load the block, as I mentioned earlier. It does have a customizable layout. In the photo, we show a left-hand machine where the control panel is to the left of where the operator would be. You could also have a right-handed machine, depending on the layout of the plant. All the components are quick release components with minimum tools, or no tools, in fact. The only tool that's needed on the FS40 is, for safety reasons, there's a single bolt on the cutting wheel disc, and that is the only bolt that's on the machine. Reason for that is for personnel safety. You don't want the disc to be able to come off easily. All other components are hinged with easy to remove hinges, sanitary easy to remove hinges, as well as toolless disassembly of all the covers and all the other components. The machine is a 304 stainless steel construction, all of an ultra sanitary design, meeting USDA as well as Wisconsin dairy requirements. And it's polished to the dairy standard sanitary finish, which is a number 4 finish or a 32 RA. Some of the characteristics of the machine, because of the limitation of the manual operation, it's limited to about 6,000 to 7,000 pounds an hour, depending on the cut size. We could probably do more as well, depending on the operator speed, but roughly about 6,000 to 7,000 pounds an hour. It is fed manually, one block at a time, directly into the chamber. It does have a locked chamber that is on an interlock. So the door is fitted with a 0-speed sensor on the disc shaft. So if the disc is spinning, that lock remains engaged and the operator cannot get into it for safety reasons. The stop cycle is a manual initiation where the operator has to load the block, close the door, lock it, and then press start each time. And it is complete with a 15 horsepower motor and VFD, PLC driven, and we can have some ancillary equipment to make it easier to load that cheese so that the operator is not constantly lifting blocks off a pallet or off of a table and putting it into the chamber. We can provide a roller table, a non-motorized preparation table, to allow cheese to be simply rolled into that main primary cutting chamber. So a few illustrations of how that works. Here's your main door with the lock on top, your main control panel local to the machine that can run a whole line or can run the machine independently with a main cover and the VFD panel and interlock systems on the sides here. Another view of it. And the operating principle, the piston under the main cover, shredding in the main cutting chamber, and the spinning disc under the disc protection cover, right into the discharge point, which is underneath this cover. So let me go back to one slide here. There's the discharge chute right here. So this is fitted with an extended chute in order to feed into an exit conveyor, but the extension can be removed with some additional safeties where we could put a bin directly underneath that FS40 if needed. Then you have your motor cover chamber and your panel on this top view that you can see here. The automatic version has all of the same features as the manual machine, except it is equipped with an in-feed conveyor to allow the operator to have a simple single operation, which is to place blocks right onto that in-feed conveyor. Similarly, if you need additional capacity or additional pre-preparation, this machine can be equipped with an auxiliary in-feed conveyor, motorized, so that the FS40 can control its in-feed of blocks. All other features remain the same, except for the PLC being a much more high-performing Compact Logix PLC from Allen Bradley. Its capacities, because now we are no longer limited to the manual feed, it goes up to 12 to 14,000 pounds an hour. And then some of the characteristics, as you can see, it is all identical to the manual machine, except for the in-feed conveyor. And then your discharge is at the same point, underneath the main cover. And the operating principle, full blocks loaded right on the main in-feed conveyor. A loading piston will automatically sense the cheese's arrival to the in-feed point, pushing into the main cutting chamber, and then having the main piston drive it through the cutting disc. So I'll hand the presentation now over to Mario, who is in our client center. He'll be able to go over some of these details live in person with a real machine. Mario.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Greg. Can you hear me okay?
Sounds great, Mario.
All right, perfect. I just want to make sure, is the camera facing myself here, or is it facing you, Greg, or the equipment here?
It is facing you right now.
It's facing me. Okay, perfect. All righty, guys. So yeah, I'm Mario Sorrentino. I'm the Midwest Dairy Market Manager here with Deville Technologies. So what I'll be doing today is walking through a live walkthrough of the equipment and kind of highlighting the key features that Greg has gone through. So we will be starting off with first is our FS40 automatic. It's somewhat disassembled, and then we would tie it over into our auxiliary equipment as well. So let's get started on that. So this is our 6 feet in-feed conveyor. That's what Greg had iterated to, that this is the automatic version. So this allows for the automatic cycling. And you can actually stage up to 3 blocks of cheese for this as well too. So that's what helps with get the higher capacity as well. For here, you see the loading piston. And that right there is the cheese detector plate as well. So then as we tie in over here, we'll kind of come into the controls itself. So with the automatic, it does come with an HMI screen, which is great for preventive blade maintenance. It ties into recipe settings as well too. So it's great for operators. So when an operator comes in that day, you see a pallet of mozzarella. All his operator would have to do was go into the HMI here, hit the preset recipe, and the FS40 itself does a self pre-calibrating. So that helps with that. So for precision and accuracy and consistency. And as you can see here, that this is Meltric throughout, this unit specifically. And we'll kind of tie into here. This is our 20 horsepower motor. There are safety switches on all covers. Mechanical zone is completely separate from the product zone. No gearbox, no pre-cubing. It's actually nice. You can do the blending right inside the chamber as well too. The FS40, as Greg did highlight, it does reduce soft and hard cheeses with many different cut profiles, like he said, when it comes to grating, flaking, crumbling, different size cuts as well. And as you can see here, it's hand polished throughout, continuous welds. And back over here, full stainless steel. As you can tell, there's no nuts, bolts, nooks, or crannies as well. And USDA accepted. That is our push piston. And then we'll tie it over here into our full line. So this is our auxiliary equipment. So what the FS40 would do is dispense here on our zero loss exit conveyor. So this is our dogleg conveyor. Same concept as well too. We try not to use any nuts or bolts. So everything here is hinged, stainless steel, full covered. We do see here that we do have a powder insert for our powder dispenser. So it minimizes product loss as well too. Everything is quick release components and easy for sanitation and wash down. And then tying into our powder dispenser here, very accurate. What we use is a variable speed auger system, pedal design. It's drive, wash down, gearbox, variable transport power. I do a walkthrough of that. And then this ties into our versatile tumble drum as well too. So as you can see inside here, we have the internal ribs. It's great for gently mixing the product, very minimal product breakage inside. Sanitary clamshell design as well too is what we use. So it reduces for any pinch points. Easy to clean.
One interesting point to mention, Mary, if you want to zoom in there on the bolt for that clamshell, we have a special tool for that bolt, and it's the same tool that's used to remove the bolt on the FS40 disc. So this whole line would be can be maintained with just one tool, as all the other equipment, all the other parts of the machines on the whole line are toolless in terms of disassembly and reassembly.
That is a walkthrough of a full cheese line. Is there anything else, Craig, that you wanted me to highlight? Well,
yeah, actually, we talked about some of the sensors earlier. All the sensors on this machine can be are coated Allen Bradley sensors, and they can come in plastic or stainless. On the sanitary, ultra sanitary design version of our lines, we use only stainless steel coated safety sensors. So we take sanitation and food safety to the highest regard, including some of the design on our welds. If you want to zoom in on one of the welds, you can see how we hand polish everything down to safety, to sanitary, very standard requirements. And then the design of this safety hinge, of all the hinges on all the covers, easily removable. Are you able to get in close on one of the hinges? Maybe the one on the motor cover is easy to see. When you close that cover, you can't really see the hinge. Right back there. So that hinge keeps the covers in place and properly aligned at all times, so covers aren't dropped on the floor or damaged. Can you just stay still on one of the hinges? And you can see that those hinges can come right out. Do you want to demonstrate how one of those hinges can pop right out and allow the covers to be removed? Simple, just like that.
Yep, simple, just like that, and then it slides right through.
Pushes right through and the cover will come off. So that allows to not have any plate-to-plate contact or laminate joints, and makes cleaning a lot easier in terms of accessibility to the hinge joint. So there's no piano hinges anywhere on any of this equipment. All right, so it's all dismantled like this. It's a little bit hard to see how this equipment would work together. So we do have a few videos showing everything put together. So let's go over to those. Let me just share my screen again. And let's start with the one of just the FS40. And then I'll show a full line video as well. So there's the automatic loading of the cheese into the main chamber. And there's the cheese coming out underneath into a tote. The purpose of showing this video, of course, is just to show the cheese quality. You can see how uniform the cheese shreds are. This one was done without any pre-cut knives, so you can see that the shred length is fairly long, more suitable for a prepared foods operation than a retail shred line. But with pre-cuts, you can control the shred length to make it any size you want, anywhere from 3/4 of an inch up to 2 inches long. I'll just play that one quickly again. You can see the block going in, the automatic loading into the tunnel, and a 40-pound block done shredding in about, Mario, what would you say? That's about eight seconds, right?
Yeah, right around 8 seconds, 10 seconds.
So that's a lot of cheese that can be done. It's a high capacity machine. And there's the product quality. You can see each individual shred with a uniform, accurate, and consistent cut cross section. Let me go over to the line video. So now we just see the whole FS40 line put together. And on this video, we're actually running 3 cycles, one after another. There's on the end there, you can see a standard 40-pound block like we just showed. And on the inside of the safety tunnel, we've got trims or just piles of cheese. So you can see how flexible this machine is, as well as blends. There's a blend of 20-pound cheddar with some mozzarella on top, totaling probably about 50 pounds of cheese in that first cycle. So this main panel on the FS40 is able to run the entire line, including that conveyor that Mario showed earlier. You can see the powder dispenser on the back side and the tumble drum. So all he did was press start on the cycle and the cheese is done. Runs up the main conveyor and automatically cycles the next load of cheese into the cutting chamber. Automatically drops into the tumble drum, and out comes the cheese on the other side. So there's the blend. You can see the blend ratio, a nice colored mix of yellow and white cheddar. And out come those trims that we saw earlier, or those little cubes, into the tumble drum. Now we're not going to get to the end of the blend, so you won't see just the yellow cheese coming out, but you can see on the conveyor that there was yellow cheese heading up into that tumble drum. And then the third block, the 40-pound block, automatically runs. You saw it enter the tunnel earlier, and at this point it's done. Now we'll go over to the end of the drum here. We'll pick up some cheese samples. And here we had pre-cut knives, so you can see the nice short retail grade shred. That brings us to the end of our presentation for today.
Thank you, Greg and Mario. We don't have any questions just yet. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask, please do so. Give a couple of minutes.
And I'll just put up on the screen here our contact information in case there's any questions that may come up or comments that may come up after we close the session. We would be available to answer any questions or to support any projects that may be available.
Thank you very much, Greg and Mario. So this comes to the end of our webinar Wednesday. Thank you all for joining the session today.
It looks like there might be a question that came up there.
There you go. Yes. So, oh, she's just saying that it was a great, this person is just saying it was a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for attending, everyone. Bye-bye.